these, and I'm like, what kind of space soap opera am I watching? Because it seems like they're even like crazier than any of the other ones. But I've also seen enough other episodes of the other series before seeing the Mirror Universe episodes be eased into it.
Right. You can kind of describe all of Enterprise as a space soap opera. An argument could be made that it is a space soap opera. I don't want to spoil stuff for you because you haven't seen everything.
I don't care about spoilers.
Oh, well, I mean, like, there's a lot, I felt like in the early seasons there was like this storyline where they hinted between a thing between T'Pol and Captain Archer, and then they flipped it completely to be T'Pol and Trip. They had a whole arc of episodes where she was giving him like sensual Vulcan massages for some reason. And I was just like, what is the point of this other than we're showing her in her teeny tiny pajamas? Like,
not for sexuality.
I told Cindy before we started recording this, I was like, it's a good thing I'm not introducing Scott, because I would say my former friend Scott until he made me watch this.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just kidding. It wasn't that bad. It was just hilarious.
Do you want to hear something funny? Okay, so about 3 or 4 years ago, I'm on our mutual friend Richard's Hello, This is the Doom Show podcast, right?
Yes.
And, he lets you pick a movie out and you watch it, right? I picked Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions because I love Lord of Illusions. Mm-hmm. It's a horror from in the 90s, directed by Clive Barker, and guess who it stars? Scott Bakula.
Yeah.
And Richard hated it. So apparently my ever eternal man crush on Scott Bakula is losing me friends at a rapid pace.
Now wait, hold on. Do you love him in Quantum Leap though?
I watched Quantum Leap last time when I was probably between the ages of 9 and 13. So I'm waiting for the not quite inevitable Blu-ray, but I guarantee I will probably still love Quantum Leap as much as I did at the age of 9.
Yeah, it's great.
I still love Quantum Leap. There's stuff that doesn't hold up, as always, with all these like shows that were shot, 20 plus years ago. Well, Quantum Leap even more. I still love Quantum Leap. I love the premise of Quantum Leap. It's a great science fiction premise. Time travel within your lifetime, something goes wrong, and you're leaping into other people's lives and bodies. You got to set things right so you can leap again. That's great.
You know what 90s sci-fi show I really want to revisit, but it's not all out on DVD or Blu-ray yet? Sliders. I will, if anyone wants to do Sliders.
I loved that show. I loved Sliders. That was a great, I also enjoy the food Sliders, but the show Sliders.
I like eating Sliders.
While I'm watching Sliders. I like eating Sliders while watching Sliders.
Jerry O'Connell was saying they're trying to reboot it, and I'm like, please.
I loved it. Jerry O'Connell, John Rhys Davies, he was doing television? That's wild. I enjoyed that show.
Hey, don't forget he was Leonardo da Vinci.
He was Leonardo da Vinci, but that is true. He was Leonardo da Vinci in Voyager. I like that that actor takes whatever role. We're getting so off topic, and I promised that we wouldn't, and I apologize.
No, it makes for good podcast radio.
I enjoy a good tangent myself, and I could talk more about Sliders, but I won't. We'll talk about that another time.
We go on a lot of tangents.
We do, because mostly because I like a lot of things, and then when someone brings them up, I get excited.
And Scott Bakula.
And then Scott Bakula. Yeah, Scott Bakula. He was a good-looking guy. He kind of still is.
And the hair he had in these 2 episodes, because he had his hair sticking up, is exactly the hair I have now, because I got a COVID cut. I just used the trimmers and just shaved all my hair off.
You did? I didn't even realize. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you could cosplay Jonathan Archer at a virtual convention.
There we go.
Yes.
I need a purple jumpsuit stat.
All right, back to the gross gender roles that we're discussing here in this episode. So basically, Hoshi is his, I don't know what you want to call her. I guess the captain's not really girlfriend, because she kind of just goes with whoever the captain is, as we'll find out later. She's saying to him that she
said
heard
something about in the second episode being a consort.
Yeah, I think that's the idea, that she's like the captain's consort, but she also has a job on the ship, so she's not just like a sex slave.
She's also
that's good.
She's a sex slave who is also a brilliant linguist.
She's got a 9 to 5, and then she comes home and she's a sex slave. Rick Berman created this show. Is anybody really surprised that Rick Berman dreamed this up? I'm not, Anyway, Rick Berman, everyone knows. He was the one who put 7 of 9 in that tight cat suit and refused to give her anything else to wear. And then when T'Pol got her uniform, it's a tight cat suit. Mm-hmm. And anyway, Rick Berman, whatever. So she's talking about
7 of 9 got the cool jackets and jeans and
yes,
stuff
she did.
In Picard. So
she finally got pockets. And I'm glad that she finally got her pockets.
Oh, her return was amazing, by the way. I was just like, yes.
She had nice hair. She had cool outfits.
They gave her a character.
Yes. Absolutely.
She had a personality.
Not just the vamp. They really gave her a real personality, depth to her character.
She wasn't just,
is that what...
I used to be a Borg, but now I'm sexy.
Yeah.
Is that why, that's why there was a backlash, because they suddenly, are we're gonna write characters with depth in Picard.
Yeah.
I actually have to pay attention.
I'm not saying they didn't have depth before, but I mean, 7 of 9, as much as I liked, the Borg revived, it's yes, you're just using her as a visual for a lot of things when there's a lot of depth you can use. And the traumatized experience of a little girl who was captured by the Borg and converted and now is back to being half human. I mean, it sounds like a terrifying experience.
She was better in the episode that we watched, a Voyager, where she was still half Borg. She had her own crew of Borgs and stuff, and she wasn't in it a whole lot. She had more character and personality than she did in some of the other episodes. It was the same thing with Tasha Yar, but I'm not going to go off on the whole thing with Tasha Yar because we've been there too many times.
Believe me, I know. It's a common theme we've talked about, lack of good writing for female characters on Star Trek. Here, Hoshi's talking about a battle that happened at Tau Ceti with these people who are rebelling against the Terran Empire. She says, I heard it went really well, and he's like, nope, that's just propaganda. It was terrible. We lost 12 ships, but, you can't tell anybody. It's very typical sort of governmental propaganda that they feed people. Very common theme in plenty of shows. Next scene, we see Forrest is ambushed as he's on his way to the turbo lift. Archer and his goons shoot the guards, and Archer takes command, basically. He tells Reed,
It's mutiny.
Yes, it is mutiny, thank you. Yeah, he mutinies, takes command of the ship. Reed, who's just, trigger happy, wants to kill Forrest, and Archer's like, don't kill him, just throw him in the brig. And he's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Onto the bridge, T'Pol is wearing her sexy uniform today, and she's in command when Archer shows up with his goons. He tells her they've taken over the ship, and that he's got orders from Starfleet Command to take the ship into Tholian space to do some top secret Starfleet mission. She doesn't really believe him, as one would probably not. Then we get this kind of cool scene where Archer is announcing to the ship that he's in charge now, and then we get to see the rest of our main cast as they're hearing this announcement. And it's really definitely the flip of everyone's personality, because we see Dr. Phlox, who's got this never-ending stream of animals that he's dissected. And in our regular Enterprise, we know Phlox to be a very sort of loving, caring, he cherishes all life, cherishes all creatures. That's not who he is. So, and then we see Trip, who's got some crazy Phantom of the Opera scarring going on his face. Someone should get him a face mask.
I felt so bad for him because the prosthetic had even a piece on his eye, and it's
it was his eye was half melted. It was crazy. It was just
oof. Oh, that'd just been... You'd almost rather have, a whole, face mask of something than have one eye, halfway closed.
Yeah, it was a bit much. So Archer tells them that they're going to be on this... They're doing this mission. It's going to help end this rebellion that Starfleet is facing. T'Pol wants to see these orders. She's like, well, show me these orders. And he's like, maybe later. And he tells her to go to Cargo Bay 2. There's a Suliban cloaking device, and he wants her to help Trip install it in engineering. So, Brooke, I know you haven't watched a ton of Enterprise. The Suliban are a race of aliens that are, you'll see them pop up throughout this whole show. Mm-hmm. So when you see them whenever you watch more Enterprise, you'll be like, oh yes, the Suliban. Gotcha.
Okay. Oh yes, I know the Suliban, like that.
Oh yes, I know all about them. So now we've got Captain Archer doing a star log. He says, the crew's accepted the change. We get a scene of him meeting with T'Pol in the ready room. He finally shows her the orders from Starfleet. She's like, well, these seem pretty legit. And then they talk a little bit about first contact. And now we see why that opening scene was so important. He's saying the Vulcans were not there to, basically say hello. They were there as an invasion force. And that the humans turned the tables on them and took them out. And now the Vulcans are pretty much slaves of the Terran Empire. Which is quite surprising, actually, that they were able to defeat a superior alien race. At first, she's like, I'm no slave, and he's like, yeah, but you are a Vulcan, and I'm in command, and yada, yada, yada. He basically...
Maybe these Earthlings had some sort of, neck armor, so they couldn't be pinched, or...
Or it's too early in the time for them to realize how stupid they're being.
Yeah, that's true.
There's that.
I was trying to make more jokes. They oiled up their faces, so then if they tried to get a mind meld, the hands would just slip off.
Just slip right off. I can't get a grip. It's slippery faces. Yeah.
Like the way Vulcans talk, just to hear one of them go, slippery faces!
That's not a very Vulcan thing to say, I must admit. It's really not what a Vulcan would say at all. Oh my goodness. So, excuse me, he offers her the role of first officer. She says, Reed is next in line, and Archer's like, nah, that dude's got his own agenda. I need you to be in that position. He then gives her this disc thing, and he's like, find this warp signature and let me know when you find it. Then we see Archer meeting with Mayweather. He's, telling him, you're going to be my personal guard. And Mayweather's like a real bootlicker in this episode. He's like, oh, I'm so excited, and you have no idea, and I can't wait. And Archer's like, dude, you got the job. Calm down. It's yours.
Right. And then get out of here before I change my mind.
Yes. I do think it's funny how he says, I'll feed you to Porthos. Now, for those that have watched Enterprise, you know that Porthos is actually a cute, adorable little beagle. And Brooke knows I have a soft spot for beagles because my family has a beagle. His name is Clark. But, Porthos loves cheese, and Archer is forever sneaking him little pieces of cheese. It's adorable. However, in this episode, Porthos is a very large and hungry Rottweiler who has not been fed yet. I did find that kind of funny that Porthos is not cute and cuddly in this one either.
Even the dog is over the top and dramatic.
And even the dog has got an evil goatee. Even the dog. And then Hoshi comes in. So this is like, new day at HR. All the new recruits are coming in to talk to the boss for their new positions and stuff. They basically say that Hoshi and Archer here in this timeline or in this universe have a history. That they used to be together. She left him though to go be with Captain Forrest. And he says, you saw an opportunity for advancement. You took it. He's like, I get it.
She talks about how to sleep your way to the top.
Yeah,
there's girl.
This whole storyline with Hoshi. I will say, you've seen the whole story arc here in part 2. So I feel like Hoshi gets her comeuppance. Not her comeuppance. She gets validation,
yeah,
I think.
She gets what she wants, eventually.
Yes. She does. She does get what she wants. And I feel like when you watch this episode, knowing what happens in part 2, I feel like this is her playing a role to get what she really wants.
Initially, I hadn't seen either one of these. So I was just like, of course. there's a character like this.
Right.
But I mean, it's like the mirror of what, I mean, the thing